Hey guys, what's going on? So I've been meaning to make this video for the past 3 weeks, and every time I sat down to record it, I would instantly freeze and panic. Even now, I'm trying so hard to keep it together, but I feel really compelled to make this video today. If I don't do it today, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be perfect, but there's not enough videos about being bi. And the videos that do exist are amazing, but there's not enough out there. And for the past few months, I felt anxious. I felt depressed. I felt out of this world, even though I go to bars and I am very much drawn to the nightlife. I'm trying to find my place in the world because I feel like being bisexual is the invisible letter of LGBT. We fly under the radar. No one ever really acknowledges or recognizes being bisexual. When I use a dating app, I usually match with a straight woman or a gay man. And with women, it's already complicated. A lot of guys know this. It's hard. If you're using Bumble, the woman has to message you first. And I feel like whenever I match with a woman, she usually unmatches. And it doesn't even come up that I'm bisexual. It's usually that she gets bored or like I'll send a voice note and then I think she can kind of figure out that I'm not a straight man, so then she unmatches. And with gay men, they ask me a bunch of ridiculous questions. I was talking to one guy, I think it was on a dating app, and he said, I love bi men. How bi are you? I've actually had a few guys ask me this. They've been like, so when was the last time you had sex with a woman? Or is it equal? Do you prefer men? Do you prefer women? And I feel like I'm in biology class and someone is observing me through a microscope. It feels like I'm an alien and people are looking at me and trying to figure me out. And being bisexual is like that. There will always be the questions that make you feel out of your body. I was talking to one girl, she's a friend from Taiwan, and I mentioned going on a date with a girl. So she said, a girl? And I said, yeah. And she said, oh, I thought you were gay. And I said, oh, I guess you didn't know this. I'm bisexual. And she said, oh, okay. I never understood being bisexual. I can understand how someone can be gay, and I can understand how someone can be straight. But how can someone like both men and women? How is that possible? And I wanted to be mad at her, but I did some introspection and I'm like, she's from a country where being bi or even being gay wasn't really recognized until a few years ago. Same sex marriage just became legal in Taiwan not too long ago. And I don't think that people in Asia are very out and open about being gay or being bi. So I had to give her some grace. But I feel like I'm always giving someone grace. I'm always explaining myself. I'm always trying to prove myself. And I recently stopped doing that. There's definitely misconceptions about being bisexual. There's always going to be someone that thinks that bi people cheat or bi people are not monogamous. On one of my TikTok videos, I mentioned I have a date with a girl coming up. I'm very nervous. I'm stressed out. And then I put hashtag bi panic. This random girl messages me or comments and says, bi panic? Please leave women out of this buffoonery. And it made me realize, wow, people really look at bi people, especially bi men, like we aren't real. I wouldn't be going on a date with a girl if I didn't like her, if I wasn't attracted to her. I wouldn't do that with anyone. But it feels like being bi is something that people don't recognize, especially in the Black community. Yes, I said it. There's a lot of biphobia. Even with people from other cultures, I have one guy that I know. I'm not going to call him a friend, but he's a family friend. So, and he's one of those guys that's always talking about women and sex. It's fine. We're both men. It is what it is. But he'll say something like, I went to Colombia and I had sex with 4 women in the first week. And I'm like, no, you didn't. But okay. And he'll talk about women, sex, picking up women from the park and taking them back to his place, doing a lot of shady shit. But then if I mention a guy, I went on a date with a guy, or I had this experience with a guy, nothing graphic, nothing crazy, just I was with a guy. I could see his eyes glaze over and I could see him disassociating. But if I talk about a woman, he's focused, he's into it, and he starts trying to give me advice and tell me, oh, yeah, you should do this with women. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay if someone is gay or bisexual. It's okay that I kissed a guy or I was dating a guy. And I realized that about myself. I need to stop trying to prove myself to people who don't need to be around me. There will be people that say, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. And you know what? Maybe they don't have to. You have to ask yourself, is this someone I want in my life? Is this someone who can support me and uplift me? Or is this someone who's going to just diminish or dim my light or make me feel like I'm not human? There's a lot of people like that. I have a friend, we hang out a lot, but I can see that there's a little bit of ignorance in her. So whenever we talk about the bias side of things, I can see that she's kind of like hesitant about it. So like she has family that's bi, and her cousin recently married a woman. And whenever she mentions her, she always says, yeah, she's lesbian. Well, actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that. She's bisexual. I should say she's bisexual. Even though she corrects herself, I can tell that she still believes that she's not bi. I can see that there is resistance there. For whatever reason, she doesn't quite believe it. And it made me really scared. Like, I don't want to open up to people. I don't want to talk about it because I can see that a lot of people don't really take it seriously. I've seen people online say, this is why I hate bi men. And for no reason, just because they feel like saying that. And it's definitely affected me. It's affected my mental health. And it's a constant struggle to tell myself I don't need to prove myself. It's okay that if someone doesn't understand me. So I'm curious if anyone else relates to this. Does anyone else feel like, I know I'm bi, I'm happy with myself, but I'm struggling to find out where I fit in the world? Because, like I said, I try to go to gay bars, I try to hang out with gay people, but I just always feel like I don't belong there, or I always feel like for example, I met this one guy. We went on a date. When I first met him in person, I realized, okay, we are very different. We are like night and day. But I still went out with him. We were already there. We got our cocktails. We're at my regular bar. Bartender knows me. I know everyone. We're drinking our cocktails, and he's the kind of guy that does makeup. He has long hair. He's very flamboyant, and that's cool. But that's not me. And I forgot how, but we ended up talking about sexuality. And I said, oh, do people at your job know that you're gay? And he said, oh, of course, absolutely. Like, I always tell everyone. And then I said, oh, okay. I don't usually disclose that to people, especially other men. And then he said, "Oh, I don't have that privilege." And I thought, privilege? What do you mean privilege? Because in high school, I was bullied for being how I am, for being soft spoken, not being super aggressive or masculine or alpha, not having muscles. I was bullied. I wanted to commit suicide. I didn't want to be here. But you think I'm privileged. And that's when I realized I am different. And it's not bad, but we can't compare ourselves. If I'm bisexual, I can't compare myself to a gay man. And if you're gay, you shouldn't be comparing yourself to bi people. We have similar struggles, but we are still different. The thing about me is I don't dress that way. I don't want to paint my nails or have long hair. That's not my style. But I feel like for a lot of gay people, especially when I felt like I was more gay than bi, I felt like there was this expectation for me to be a certain way and to like certain things. And when I didn't, I felt like an outcast. Like, how are you gay but you don't like Ariana Grande? How are you gay but you don't watch Drag Race or go to gay bars or gay clubs, or you don't like this drink, or you don't want to go to this dive bar, you want to go to a cocktail bar. And it felt like nothing in this world is binary. There are gay men that drink beer, there are gay men that only want a cosmopolitan, there are gay men who play sports. There's also bi men who play sports or drink beer. It doesn't have to be black or white. But going back to the guy I went on a date with, it made me realize I didn't know what it was, but there was something that was different, and I felt distance between us. And he didn't know I was bisexual, but I feel like he kind of resented me because I could kind of fit into spaces and not necessarily say that I'm gay or bisexual or whatever. And I think that's the only problem I have in the gay community. People kind of assuming things about me, like I think I'm better than them or I don't have to do certain things. Like even with a guy I had at one of my jobs, anytime I would interact with another guy, so a customer ordered a nice coffee or a nice latte, and I'm like, okay, here you go, man, almond latte, thanks, buddy. My coworker would make fun of me and he would be like, thanks, man. And I'd say, yeah, what's wrong with that? That's how I talk. That's my culture. I'm from New York, from the Bronx, New York. That's how I grew up talking. And it's just so funny because I could see that he expected me to be something else. And I would always ask him, why do you do that? Whenever I say, thanks, bro, thanks, buddy, or have a good day, man, you judge me and you say some slick comment. And he'd be like, no, I didn't think that you were a bro. And I'm like, a bro? I mean, I am a man. That's normal to talk like that. And it was just weird. I don't want to be around that. I don't like that about the gay community. I feel like for a community that was bullied, marginalized, and brought to a very dark place, I think every gay person, every bi person can agree with this sentiment. We have been in that dark, scary place in our lives where we were like, I don't even know if it's worth it. I don't even know if my family's gonna accept me or if I'm gonna have friends. I don't know what my future looks like. Like, can I come out? And then you do that to someone else. Or I think the biggest thing in, or just being a bisexual man, growing up, I wasn't masculine enough. I wasn't masculine enough for the guys at school. I was too feminine. I wasn't like a guy. I couldn't play sports with them. I would never get picked. to be on the team, or I would be picked last. You know how that goes. And I only really hung out with girls. I never really had guy friends growing up. And then when I started hanging out with gay people, going to gay bars and like exploring my sexuality, having hookups from Grinder, then men would basically look at me like you're too straight or you're too masculine for this. So I'm like, can I live? Like, can I just be like this? Like, I consider myself to be very balanced between masculine and feminine energy, and that's okay. But I think it's really toxic how in our community we have these rules, expectations for someone to be a certain way. You have to talk a certain way, you have to have certain interests, you have to, go to the pride parade. Or pride also hasn't been the same in the past few years. Like, I stopped going. But it's okay if you don't feel like you have a community. I feel like you can be gay or bisexual and be who you are, but also have your own tight knit corner. I think it's very impossible for us to all be in the same community because we have very different struggles. I'm a black man from the Bronx, New York. My life is very different from a white gay man who came up from Utah. Very different. Religion is different, beliefs are different, core values are different, everything is different. There's beauty in being different and there's beauty in having similarities. But the beauty in being in the same community means that you love and respect each other despite your differences. I wish that more people knew that because, like I said, I don't really have a community per se, but I'll always say, yeah, LGBT community or LGBTQIA plus. But that's where I am right now. I don't feel like I fit in because I'd rather go to a straight bar than a gay bar because at a straight bar I can kind of blend in. I go to a gay bar, I just feel like I stick out and people are looking at me. I don't know, but that's how I feel. But I'm curious if anyone else who's bi has the same experiences or if they relate or if you disagree, let me know. And thanks for watching.